You're hot.
Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. In a way, it's also the land of 10,000 sports. Doesn't matter what it is. Soccer, football, basketball, curling, ice hockey especially, soccer in more modern days. But it's also the home of Aussie Rules football and home to not one but two clubs, the Minnesota Freeze and the North Star Blackhawks. We'll see them a little bit later on, but first we'll see some of the many teams who have traveled from the east and central regions of the United States Australian Football League to do battle for regional glory at the 2026 USAFL Super Regional Championships presented by Tasmanian. Hi again, everyone. I'm Brian Barrett, Dan Sarbacker, former USA national team player and coach, to my right to bring us the color of this one. We just finished the pregame show where we took a look at the three teams in this men's Division I here at the Woodbury M-Health Sports Complex. Dan, I think this will be a very interesting game. We looked at some of we're looking at the rosters here. A couple of very interesting American players on both sides.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity again for, we mentioned it in the opener, some of those players to get looks by national team staff heading into that Parallel Cup match against Canada in late August this year up in Kelowna. But as the sport's grown in the States, Brian, you know this and are a huge advocate for Aussie Rules football in the States. The quality and the standard of football has really risen, and a lot of that is on the backs of the quality of the Americans playing the game. I got to assume the number of expat Aussies in the States hasn't changed dramatically over the last 25, 30 years. But as the clubs grow, the ability to recruit, train, and attract American talent is really what underpins the success of a lot of these clubs. And so I know, you and I are both familiar with these clubs enough to know that this could be a really high-quality game. I'm really excited to open with this one. I hope everyone's got their hot dish in the oven because we're on for the next 5 or 6 hours here, Brian. You're not going to want to miss. You're not going to want to miss anything. We're going back to back on this field on this stream all day.
I learned yesterday that walleye is apparently a big thing up here.
Oh yeah.
The umpire is ready, and so are we. We are underway. Game time temperature 80 degrees. It'll be going up a little bit further as the Eagles, going from left to right on your screen of watching choice, and then circling around are the Swans. That is the 31 there. That is Bevan Charlton White. And Bevo had a big Central Regionals a season ago in Olathe, Kansas, where he kicked, I think, 6 goals over the course of the 3 games. The Swans out the back now, sending that on. Picking one up and getting it was Daniel Jewell for the Eagles, sending this one in towards the sticks. It is marked defensively by Charlton White. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like, as I said, last year they played him up on the forward line, but they're looking to him as a defensive answer, and now let's send that one up on the far side. Picked in front. Way to step in front of that one was Zane Zovac. Keep an eye out on him perhaps for the national team program, but it was intercepted and taken there by the number 8, Mark Edwards. We are a minute into this scoreless game. First of 3 games in men's Division I. As we said, New York, the other team in this triumvirate. That is Crossley, who is in there to go after the football. Staying with it now. The Swans not able to get it. The Eagles do. Send this one up into the pocket. That's picked off, looking to go back. Again, looking for Charlton White. Able to get away from 2 tacklers. Just barely got the ball off. Worked it back to Frazier, who sends this one down the line. Ian Frazier, I believe he is from Great Britain. Going to have a number of Britons across the different teams here on this day. Big swing and a miss. Umpire says play on. Going to pick that one up is Tatsuro Tanioka, veteran of the last couple of years for the Eagles, and finally sent up on the far side. Goes off the shins of the player there. Rolls in front. Shotwell is in there, but it's intercepted. Sending this one in. Uncorks a fine Tasmanian Pinot Noir. That one was deflected. Play on, says the umpire, sending this one towards the stick. And it bounces through, and it has for a goal. That was off the foot of William Lack, I believe, and the Eagles strike first blood on the Watch AFL scoreboard. DC 1 straight 6. Chicago no score, 2 minutes in, SARS.
Well, the ball really, for the Swans, never got forward of where that center ball up was initially off the first whistle. DC showing some class, really rebounding, setting up really well here through the mids, and some resilience from the Swans there around halfback, a couple intercept marks, but really not able to build up effectively across midfield yet. Looking to really see what happens off this center bounce. If DC's back in, this could be a long day for the Swans.
Ball comes back in the middle once again, and the Swans, as sending this one back the other way, is Evan Danilo, former New York Magpies. Setting this one as high there is Shotwell. Goes back and forth between the Cincinnati Dockers and the Columbus Cats. Currently representing the Cats. Great pickoff by Kadri Williams. Kadri, also a guy usually we see in the forward line. He's playing across the halfback, so I think both teams trying to put their better players in defense. Going to pick that one up back the other way was Luke Jackson. Jackson sends this one in, and a nice sliding mark is taken. And just turning around, we'll tell you that that is Josh Halliday.
Halliday featured in that game that I umpired back in June against the Wombats in Madison, one of their more effective ball handlers. There, the Swans, right off the ball up in center, were able to get the ball moving forward and creating opportunities. Had a forward 50 entry, so they're responding to the pace that DC is bringing.
Halliday, this is going to be from a long, long way out, probably about 60 meters. Marches the back, sends this one all the way. It has the journey. No, and that one goes off of hands. And the umpire says, in fact, a free kick has been given out for contact in that contest. The DC will look to play quickly. They do out the far side. And it just stays in play. Shotwell wraps up his man for Christmas. And the umpire says, give that to me. We'll have a ball up. 6-0 DC. We said winner of this game will play New York over on field 2 at noon. Winner will have a long break and come back and play at 3:15 in the final game of the day. Looking for Eric Hansen from the North Carolina Tigers. Sends this one in. One-on-one contest. Going over the back was Girton, who was trying to take the mark. Bounces out in front. Now going over to get it. And DC has the ball. Clears that one out of the back. Big boom kick flying through the air with the greatest of ease, but it's picked off there by Jed Martin. Martin, one of the another veteran for the Swans, plays that one up on the far side, but it's picked off. And now we're playing aerial ping pong with the Eagles out of defense.
Right, yeah, intercept mark, right? The battle through the mids here is playing out. Swans getting multiple forward 50 entries, so that bodes well for them putting pressure on the scoreboard here. Really not able to convert more than that one behind so far. We've got to get that up on the scoreboard. 0-1 Chicago.
We'll double check that just simply because I didn't see the umpire wave their flags if we're talking about this one over here. So we'll double check. But going and picking that one up is Tom Matthew, used to play for Columbus, and plays that one out. There's Hansen going in after it, chasing with Matt Crawford. Crawford goes over the top. Umpire waves his hands and says play on. Soccered off the ground. Gets there on one hop. No mark, play on. Sending this one back the other way, and a nice chest mark taken through the back there by Callum McKern. McKern turns quickly. Goes up now, off of hands, into the midst of Zovac. Turns and goes midfield through the middle of the ground and right on the chest of Jewell once again. Plays on quickly, sending this one inside to the top of the 50-meter arc. Off the hands of Crossley. Gets to it on the third bite of the cherry. Shoved down, no call there on Wack, who has the only goal of the game so far. Bootlegging around and sending this one in towards the sticks. Off the hands. Ball pops high up in the air. Sending this one back the other way. Over the top there, looking for Webster, who couldn't get it. Now running onto it now. There again is Shotwell, but won by DC. Goes out now, plays it out to the far side, off the hands. Ball goes down the ground. Big tackle thrown in there, and then taken down with a half Nelson. Umpire said there was no opportunity before the tackle, and so we'll have a ball up on the far side as we go through this first half. 6.5 minutes gone. 1-0 DC. I'm sorry, 6-0 unofficially the lead.
A long sequence of play there without a stoppage. That tackle was the first moment we've had to catch our breath in a hot while here, Brian. But both sides really rebounding, well responding in transition.
Ball's up now on the far side now, and going to get it is. They send this one on, going back the other way now as the ball will travel and scoot and go out of bounds.
The score should read 1-0-6 for DC, and we're questioning. We didn't get the signal from the umpire. 0-1 Swans, I suspect. And I'm assuming, Brian, often at these regional and national events, there's training opportunities for umpires. So we may have a trainee in goal and just didn't get the signal clearly like we normally do.
Well, we'll double check it. What usually, if you're not familiar with Aussie rule, we'll tell that in a second as this one gets sent in. It goes through and it is picked up, going and trying to go around the corner with a cute little Susie Q off the foot there of believe that was Jewell once again, either that or Campbell Naughton. Either way, it is 1-1-7 for DC. Chicago 1 behind, and we have played almost 8 minutes of this first half. Brian Barish and Dan Sarback are with you here in Woodbury, Minnesota at the M Health Fairview Sports Complex. And the emphasis on the word complex, I believe all of us got lost getting to the field here in one way or another.
Yeah, somewhere between a 5 and 20-minute delay, depending on where you pulled into the complex to find the ovals. But the grounds are in beautiful shape. It's we're on our ways to 32 degrees Celsius today, Brian. It's going to be a warm one. But the grass is in good nick. Fields look great, and a slight breeze out of the south.
I think they may have kicked that ball halfway to North Dakota because they are still getting it from the fir trees in the back.
That might be UP direction.
Oh, the UP? Yeah. Listen, you're from around here. I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, the ball comes set up on the near side now, and it is marked and taken there by Charlton White. Charlton White now sending this one down the ground, right out in front of us, in front of Jerry Long and our camera folks who know all and see all. The ball is tapped out of bounds, and we'll have a boundary throw in.
Not a bad result for the Swans there. Up the line long, and we're able to get a stoppage and another throw in. So they're trying to build up the line, up the boundary here with some stoppages or balls out of bounds.
Umpire throws the ball back into play. If you're used to watching the AFL back in Australia, we do not play the last touch out of bounds rules because most of the games during the season we don't have 50-meter arcs. As the ball gets knocked down, that's Isaac Menem-Parampil, one of the Minnesota players who's come over, and he flings Devin Pinn out of bounds, and again, but it was out of bounds first, so another boundary throw in.
A fling, but not a sling. Sling would have been illegal, right, Brian?
Yes.
But an aggressive tackle and kind of saw him over the boundary.
A fling is fine. A sling is not. Even in the literal non-football sense. Nice over-the-shoulder mark taken by Paul Lashier. One time played for the Baltimore Dockers. Is that one? Oh, nice sliding mark as he slides in at second base is Zovac. Zovac looks up and decides to take the safe option inboard and required a good mark, but the mark was in fact paid. It required a good kick and good hands, and it was enough to get the umpire there, and it will be sent forward. Don't have a 44 on the roster yet, so we'll double check that. A long mark will catch, and a long mark again by Bevan Charlton White. I'm wondering at what point, depending on what the score line is, that they're going to throw him into the forward line. Right now, that's not panic stations, but the question will be at what point do you throw the magnets around?
Yeah, they're generating enough offense, the Swans. Really, and other than that first goal, have been able to repel a lot of what DC's bringing. Right there, DC, sensing the Swans' success defensively, changed the point of attack, went inboard to try to change the angle. They were entering 50. Swans again to the task with an intercept mark.
Ball come back the other way, and the Eagles staying with it. The ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. We'll have a throw-in directly across from us. First of 5 games we'll have on today. We'll have a couple of women's games. In fact, we'll have the regional championship game between the Minnesota Freeze and the DC Eagles / Denver Bulldogs and Friends. And we'll preview that when we get a little bit closer. We touched on that very briefly in the pregame, but we will talk about that more when we get a little bit closer, as this one is sent in. Ball goes to ground. Clean bowls Nathan Blumenshine, who stays with the footy and did well to get to it, but he was spun right round in dead or alive fashion, and in fact was caught with the ball. So Chicago has a good tackle, sending this one in. Drops in front, and he'll play on quickly up the far side, looking for a connection now, and taking a nice one on the chest there was Danilo. Danilo will drop back and look for a further option, taking his time. And now sends this one low and slow like a good pot of chili off the hands of Williams, who did well to intercept it right into the midst of a DC player who was wrapped up by Tim Herman, who has bounced around. He one time for about a season or two was a Philadelphia Hawk, and in fact has won the free kick for the tackle. So the Swans again trailing 7-1, and in fact they have taken down that behind. So it is 7-0. All
right.
I was right. So it is 7-0 at the moment.
Got to figure out how that worked, because that originally was off hands and a goal kick was the restart, so we'll have to
I think it was a free kick. That was a nice mark. There was a no. I saw the umpire signal that as a free kick, and it was in the square. So it is 7-0. We'll get that. We'll check that in just a moment. But Chicago's still looking for their first point, and going to pick that one up again. Going in there was Halliday, and we will have a ball up once again.
Swans lifting a bit here, have had a few tackles both on the defensive end and at half forward, which is creating opportunities for them. I think their game really that they want to be playing is a few more stoppages. They've been more successful with that. Eric Hansen breaking out of the pack here and switching the ball.
Hansen, who has been around a long darn time, as our friend Grohl would say, like snake oil. He's played in the red, white, and blue a couple of times, and I'll tell you what, he's come here, I think, looking for an opportunity to perhaps stamp his name on the Parallel Cup team that's heading to Canada next month, or at least as a, just to stay in the back of your mind in Coach Stephen Barr's mind's eye, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of players looking for the same opportunity. With the selection on the men's side, we mentioned more data points, and so there are opportunities, and the national team staff tries to get around to as many games, and especially tournaments as they can to put eyeballs on players, and they see that body of work through the season, taking the long view to inviting players to get involved in the national team program, and certainly this day's games is an opportunity for players to show the national team coaches their skill sets and abilities at the club level.
Ball's up on the far side now, and it's sent along. The Swans had it. Crossley is there for DC, or check that was Williams. He punches it forward. Williams gets it, now sends along a subway ball, but it was a local train. It was stopped there by one of the defenders. Herman is in there, so is Danilo. Danilo being chased by Bernie Burgess, who was on the reserve side that went and played Canada in the Transatlantic Cup. They played that exhibition game on the Saturday, the eve of the grand final. And I'll tell you what, Sars, it's been 2 years. It's great to see. We talk about the national team. It's great to see a new game, and it's hard to go on form when we talk about a game that's happening, a one-off game that's happening 2 years, but the buzz still has to really be on the entire program for making it as far as they did, making it to the grand final in both of the games for the men and the women.
Yeah, really excited about the result there, and I'll be candid and say that still the international fixture still struggling to come online again after COVID. Various international programs in different states of rebuilding and reorganizing, and we're excited to have a game on the calendar, and certainly don't want to take a step backward from our success at the TIC. We want to keep moving forward, so that's the focus and the goal for us at the end of August.
Bernie Burgess earns a free kick as he was taken down without the ball, so we'll send this one on, and it's marked, going to be sent in. You hear the coach asking for somebody to make a lead, and Crossley had it. He was taken down, and he's going to be pinged for holding the ball.
Not a good sign here for the Swans. Defender there picking up the football. Nobody went to him for hands. He really tried to wrestle out of that tackle alone and didn't have any options.
Sending this one, it is a wounded duck of a ball tipped off the top there by Edwards, and then going all the way back, DC right in front on the doorstep, and that's going to be goal number 2. That is a fantastic goal in front, as he was wearing 2 Swans like a coat, and somewhere Corella DeVille's ears picked up, but on the Watch AFL scoreboard, DC goes to 2-1-13, Chicago yet to score, and we have played 16.5 minutes of this opening half.
Right there, Brian, great example of good tackling, certainly by DC, but poor running by Chicago. Pretty clear that the halfback for Chicago was going to collect that ball. Teammates need to be running off the football to provide that option. He was going to pick it up first, but he also was going to be under pressure immediately, and his teammates didn't get there to support him. Results in a DC goal because of the pressure.
Ball comes back in the air once again, but we have an infraction in the contest, and we'll double check here. That's umpire. I think it's Steve Noble. I'm not sure.
Looks like we're going to have a restart here.
Sometimes when you see that, I mean, most times it's an infraction, but the umpire just, there was something about it. Either he wasn't ready or something along those lines.
Yeah, some appeal from Halliday there. We can't quite tell what was going on, but a restart nonetheless.
What, you can't read lips?
I can't. It didn't look like anything too untoward.
It wasn't untoward. I think it was
4 or 5 words I recognized pretty well. He didn't use any of those.
Unlike the Croatian woman at the end of the game. What was it against? Was it against Portugal? And they went to about it. And in case you can't read Croatian, she said the same thing that was in English. Anyway, up on the far side, ball comes back into play. We still have a little bit of World Cup fever here. Of course, we are recording this / streaming this on the day where 2 semifinals will be played.
2 quarterfinals.
2 quarterfinals. Sorry, will determine the semifinals.
Yep.
What's interesting is I'm going to London this week, and I may be in London for an England semifinal and possibly a final.
They got to get past Holland and Norway first.
Well, I was going to say
a dangerous side, maybe the most dangerous side in the quarterfinals.
Ask Harry Kane, how's your rowing? As the ball's up on the far side now and is taken down, and extracting that is Bevan Charlton-White, and you see now he's starting to creep up a little bit. And the Swans trying to get some offensive juice going. Big tackle put in there as Herman had the ball, and he was gravitating. It was like a kind of moonwalk backwards. Being shoved off the ball was Pin, and DC trying to control it. They finally do up on the far side. Had a bounce, had a look, a little short stabby kick inboard, and going and just stealing that one away was McKern, but it was turned over once again. Hansen goes back, couldn't handle the pill. Charlton White was there. Handball didn't come off, and he's got to go all the way back. He has to retreat about 15 meters before he was taken down. Swans get it, goes up through the middle of the ground, punched away. Ball goes to ground. Umpire wanted a holding call. They didn't get it, and that is time. And I believe a free kick was paid, and it was paid, and he's going to go back, and I think this will be an understatement. Or was it for the other field?
I think the siren was for the other field, so we're still live here.
I was going to say we are short of 20 minutes. As this one, that's a nice curly cue around. That one is tipped on towards the sticks. It got out there quickly, but I think that's going to be out on the full, and it is.
Yeah, defender swung him just enough to twist his hips, put him off square for the goal, and out of bounds on the full there. Nice, quick defensive effort under pressure.
Bevan Charlton-White takes the mark as we have a nice cool breeze filter through the commentary position. We'll take those any way we can. This one is sent in. That should be our whistle, and in fact, it is at the 20-minute mark. First half of this opening game of the 2026 USAFL Super Regionals here in Woodbury, Minnesota. It's the DC Eagles. 2 goals, 1 behind, 13 points. Chicago yet to score. Halftime thoughts from Dan Sarbecker.
Yeah, mentioned it in the half there. A little bit of a letdown for Chicago, giving up one of those goals where they just weren't running enough in defense. Shortly thereafter, plenty of run, connecting, linking up at a forward 50 entry. Didn't result in a scoring chance. The DC defense was up to the task, but it's always easier to run in offense, Brian, because the carrot dangling on the string is to kick a goal. I want to see the Swans do more of that defensively. If they're getting there in numbers, they're giving themselves better chances. DC's been very good with the rebounding. A couple of intercept marks here and there. They've changed the point of attack at times. Kind of bend, don't break sort of football. Chicago's had their chances, but DC's been up to the task every time. And I think they just keep whittling away in their forward 50 end until they've resulted in a few goals.
And we'll see how they adjust in the second half when we return. You're watching the 2026 USAFL Super Regional Championships presented by Tasmanian from Woodbury, Minnesota. You're watching it on AussieRulesUSA.com. And we're back at the M Health Fairview Sports Complex here in Woodbury, Minnesota. The 2026 USAFL Super Regionals presented by Tasmanian. And we are at halftime of our first game of the day between the Chicago Swans and DC Eagles. The Eagles leading the Swans 13-0. Brian Barish, Dan Sarbacker here with you. And Sars, one of the things I think this is a little bit different of a regionals format, of course, with there only being 3 teams in each division. Each of the teams are only going to play twice. It's going to be a hot one out here today, and as we say, both of these teams are playing for not only a 1-0 record and a chance to play against New York for a chance to win the championship, they're going to play for essentially a 4-hour break.
Yeah, it's a high-risk format, I like to call it, and a hot day. So, there's some advantages for having a break. The last time we sat in chairs together, Brian, was in the middle of the desert, and it's hotter here today than it was in Tucson when we were there for the national tournament. But that break is valuable. On top of it, the players, they're dusting it off, right? It's the first game of the day. They want to get out of the gate quickly, of course. But there is value. These high risk formats, and we did one of these kind of like lightning round Rob Robbins at the start of a international cup in 2011. High risk stuff. You lose a game, it may impact the whole rest of your tournament in the sense that you may not have a chance to win the championship at that point. So really critical to get a win out of this. There's no second chances, and this down to one half of football here.
What about New York and Minnesota very quickly? Because in Division I, Division II, respectively, they're not playing now. They're playing 2 games essentially back to back, with that 1 hour or so break in between. But they're getting a later start.
Yeah, later start. You kind of toss the coin, right? Is that more valuable, or would you like to get up and get moving in the morning? Do you want a longer break, or would you turn around quickly? Each athlete's probably different. Each team probably responds differently. I personally hated long breaks. The body got cold. It took a really, really long time to warm up again. I would have preferred to go back to back myself, but to each their own, and we'll just see how the bodies respond, the teams respond throughout the day.
And we're underway here. The Swans now heading to the right of screen. Herman dances, romances, sheds 2 tacklers. Then the handball was not great to Oliver C. Stewart, and that one is turned over, and DC will thump it back the other direction, leading 13-0 as the ball goes up high, and it's taken down with a big tackle, and that is a sling tackle.
That was a sling tackle. Head hit the turf on that. Really, really dangerous for players. Big emphasis on rubbing that out of the game because the concussion risk. You could see on that the head impacted the turf on that tackle, and the umpire signaled that was a infraction.
So it'll be a free kick going the other way. I believe that was Pratik Gidwani there. And just going through, we have the numbers slightly changed, of course, because we had a couple of players who came in late. We had a couple who arrived late to get their numbers, a couple of players from some of the other teams. In fact, we have 2 players for the Minnesota Freeze. Of course, the Freeze, the home side, bringing 30 players, so they have a couple of players helping to make up the numbers.
The conscripts never quite map perfectly to the jumper sizes of the personnel that's vacating today.
And as somebody who is usually one of those conscripts in my playing days with the Philadelphia Hawks, I can empathize. As the ball's up on the far side now. Spent an entire game playing with the North Carolina Tigers once. Almost kicked the goal, too. I don't think there were too many people that were happy with me. As off of one step, sending this one goalward and straight over the umpire's hat. But before that, we have a whistle, and in fact, I think the ball may have gone out of bounds first.
I think so. It was soccered off the ground back into the middle. I think just prior to that might have been over the boundary, so we're going to see a boundary throw in here.
So we are about 2 minutes into this second half, 2 20-minute halves. Again, the 3-team round robin tournament, one of 2 men's divisions that we have, and of course, stay tuned at about 11:15 local time. We'll have the regional women's match between the Minnesota Freeze and a DC-Denver combination. This ball comes back into the middle once again, going up and turning around in towards the sticks, dropped in front. A little bit of a wrestling contest there. And the ball has gone out of bounds first, as I believe that was Ian Frazier going up against Alex Foster, national teamer.
Brian, I'm really eager to see someone break this game open. The ball's been tied up a lot of back and forth. No one's really taken the game on their shoulders and run with it. I want to see somebody break this open. And it hasn't been from excessive defensive pressure either. Sometimes the games get tied up because both sides are so hot on the football. decent example there of the pressure. What I want to see is someone really break out of a pack, nice big penetrating kick to a long lead, something that really sparks this game, and see some clean skills with it.
And you saw Tanioka going after the football very quickly there for DC, and the ball up was given. Chicago eventually bangs it out to the far side. Everybody gives chase. First to it there is going to be Daniel Jewell, who gets to the footy. Jewell turns this one inboard. It goes high up in the air. Nice mark taken over the top by Crawford. Crawford goes back, son of Scotty Crawford, who is a longtime fixture for both the DC Eagles and their predecessor club in Baltimore, Washington. Ball is taken down, sending this one in, getting knocked forward there by Luke Meyer. Kansas, they call him. And tell you what, he's a guy who will play just about anywhere. He played in 3 of the regional tournaments last year. He played in the Northeast Regional, the Southeast Regional, and also in the Central Regional. He was literally all over the place.
Great to hear we're getting some father-son picks filtering through the league at this point. Handy there for DC. I just talked about sparking the game a little bit. DC committed 2 to that long rebounded kick from the Swans out on the far boundary. They're in on 50 again multiple times here as a result of that. They were able to switch the course of play through the middle, took a mark there. Here that ball hangs up a little bit, and so not as effective inside 50 as I'd like to see, but DC trying to maybe initiate that spark I was talking about.
And a whistle has been blown. There was an infraction there, so that will get called back as Josh Webster had the football. 4.5 minutes into the second half. And all of that, we said the DC Eagles, they are known for their tussles with their cross-state rivals, or rather their local rivals, the Baltimore Dockers. And Chicago and Minnesota have had a number of tussles over the years. Just looking for the ball here. It's going to be a free kick from 40 meters out, heading towards the stick just off to the left, or to the right. Blumenshine
there. I thought he might have converted that. Pretty good opportunity with the free kick there. But DC will set up again here to try to rebound. We'll see if the Swans can break out. Been screaming for this side of the field. The wind's pushing it a little bit the other way, but a very gentle breeze. So got to start switching the play, use this side of the field a little more. 14-0 the score. 2-2 plays nothing. That's on the Watch AFL scoreboard after 5 minutes in this opening game. Men's Division 1. Super Regional Championships here in Woodbury, Minnesota. And our thanks to Destination Woodbury, Tasmania, and all of our sponsors. 2 kangaroos here to serve us meat pies for lunch, which is great. As going and chasing after it, it's a 2-on-2 contest. Over to get it there is Edwards, who went after the football, but they're able to clear that one out. DC had an opportunity to clear it out. There is Shotwell to put the pressure on Matthew. Umpire didn't see anything wrong with that. Tatsuoka soccered it on to Meyer. Kansas sells a little bit of candy, leaving some junior mints all over the carpet, setting that one up high, and a nice intercept mark again by Bevan Charlton White. And again, he was playing more of a defensive role. He is, I would say this line right now is about a defensive sort of center halfback position, and then what is sent forward. Curious again as to when they may send him loose and maybe more of a rover role and have him play a little bit up forward, especially since his team is 3 scores down. Up on the far side now. And going to chase that one after a good second attempt put in there, and nothing coming from that. Umpire says, give that to me. We'll have the ball up 14-0. Eagles the lead. After that intercept mark from Charlton White on the halfback line, it occurs to me, I'm not the coach, Brian, but I would love to see the Swans run that ball with hands instead. They've tried a fair number of those more patient, longer build, longer entries, and just not getting some success from it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they, what they can do here, because right now
a little bit of desperation on the goal line.
There's a little bit of desperation on the goal line. They're also they're getting a little bit more penetration inside the 50-meter arc, which is great. We'll see if they can at least convert that into points at the very least, let alone a goal as the ball goes out of bounds. We mentioned there are 2 divisions. The other division, the opening game of Division 2 is happening over on Field 2 to our left. The Wisconsin Wombats taking on the St. Louis AFC, in air quotes, the Blues. And we'll have, of course, those games, all the games from Field 2 available a little bit later on in the week on tape delay. So you will keep an eye out for that right here on this channel as the ball goes out of bounds on the full. It's sort of marooned in the back left pocket for the Swans, but they'll have an opportunity to bang it out here.
Here again, would love to see them run in lines. A little bit trickier when you're this deep, but here he does. He takes up some of his space. Long kick. Swans have been good in the air, so I see why they fancy themselves on longer kicks. Unfortunately, they just haven't been able to link up with handballs. Here would be a perfect opportunity for them to link up with hands and run at pace. He's at least doing a quicker restart. That was as effective as a handball, a forward-linking handball there, because the short kick it was able to run onto. But stymied again at that inside 50 entry. Something's really not working for the Swans at that initial forward 50 entry. They've not been able to connect there.
And our social media maven, Ashley Page, has given us a Destination Woodbury Around the Grounds report and telling us that St. Louis leads Wisconsin 7-6 at the half. So,
as expected, a tight contest over there.
A very tight game. I did see the goal flags wave, so that score has changed. But thanks to Ashley, who, if you happen to check out our social media at USAFL 1997 on Instagram, as well as on the Facebook, she is doing some fantastic work for us today, so keep an eye out for that. Up on the far side now, as this one gets banged around and sent back in down towards the ground. Going and getting it again is a big tackle put in there by Crawford, who was sent down, and that one will be, I believe, holding the ball.
Fantastic tackle there.
Great tackle
on the far side, and great job by the camera crew to catch that. It's a quick transition out of the back for DC. Chicago up to the task, though, flying that tackle on the boundary. Otherwise, they were away.
Ball's up on the far side, and DC reset. Now DC bounced around between Division II, Division III. They actually won Division II back in 2021. And moved up to D1. I think fought well in Division I. It was very in 2022. It was always going to be difficult, especially when you had the likes of the LA Dragons and the Austin Crows and the New York Magpies up there. But it will be interesting to see how they fare in the later game. And right now, we are going to have that big tackle put in by Zovac as the ball goes to ground. That one is punched around. It's like a ping pong ball. Big tackle in there. Looks like looking to get a holding call, but in fact it was holding, not holding. It was not enough. Let's try that again. No prior opportunity, but it's going to get picked out by DC. Up on the far side.
Swans with a bit of pressure there. The tackling was really good. Ooh, a small fumble here. Otherwise, they might have had a little bit cleaner exit. As it were, though, Halliday had to go back and recollect that. Trying to figure out. Umpire saw a throw in the middle of that. We'll see which one he found offensive.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay.
To his teammate.
To a teammate, yep.
The signaling's got me a little confused. He was pointing at a player as opposed to the direction.
Exactly. And I was going to say, if you're not familiar with Aussie rules, the umpires point in the defensive direction instead of the way the ball is going, like it is in literally every other sport.
where the team is anchored, not where the team is headed.
Yes. It does take some getting used to. Ball up directly in front of the DC target, leading 14-0. And I think it's fair to say, SARS, with about 9 minutes to go in this match, looking for the knockout blow. Here it comes. There it is, and Chicago is on the canvas. DC gets their third goal of the game, 3-2-20. Chicago no score. Watch AFL scoreboard. And from a loose play in front, they did well to tee it up.
Yeah, Chicago just a fumble here on the near side right in front of us. Had opportunity to get out cleanly. They had numbers 3 there with the football. And with the fumble, the numbers allowed them to prolong that. But in the end, the mistakes stacked up there, and DC converted.
So back in the middle again, we come once again. Reminder, coming up at 11:15 local time, it'll be a women's game. We'll have 2 women's games. The first one will be essentially the regional championship game between Minnesota and the DC-Denver combination. And then we'll have a game later on at 2 o'clock where it will be a kind of an all-comers mixed-up game where the teams will get essentially lotteried and all that other stuff around. So that will be fun to watch. Dan and I will have a call for that one a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But here and now, go ahead.
I like those mix-up games. Athletes, you don't have a ton of tactics and orchestration because you're not familiar with each other. So you tend to see some individual skills come out and shine in those moments. So that'll be a fun one to watch.
Ball goes down. Burgess is kind of nurdled down by Shotwell, who wins the football. Could have been in the back, but I think that was about a 50-50 opportunity. And They work it out, trying to do throw series of handballs. Here is Burgess, left foot. It looked ugly as hell, but it's going to count as 6 points on the scoreboard all the same. Goal to Bernie Burgess, and the Eagles have their fourth, 4-2-26 to Chicago, no score, as we traverse through this second half, about 7 minutes to go, and I think the Eagles are home.
Yeah, yet again, the handball's just not good enough from the Swans here on halfback. They had opportunities to get out. They had numbers, but a couple of sloppy ones, one swatted away, and so DC just right back at them. So you're seeing that flow of the game really go against the Swans as those mistakes stack up. Got to be cleaner than that. Quality sides, of course. And I'm really desperate to see someone with really clean skill set pick up the ball and take this game on their shoulders.
Ball goes into the pocket now. Chicago needs an answer, if for nothing else, to kind of help the percentage. Herbert picks it up from the pocket, goes all the way across, and it's marked in front. Thought he may have overkicked that, but he had a man waiting out the back who took it on the chest, and it will be Evan Danilo who will go back. He is 30 meters out, dead in front. Not much of a wind to speak of, maybe a gentle breeze. Danilo on the way, got under it a little bit, ends up spraying it to the left. Chicago is on the board, not the way they wanted to get there, but they will not get shut out on this day. Watch AFL scoreboard. Swans one behind, trail DC 4-2-26, 25 points the difference. Brian Barish and Dan Sarbacker, whose voice you're going to hear now.
Yeah, really like that out of Herman. Quick pickup, quick turn, fast delivery. It was a very flat, penetrating kick to Danilo there. He was already on the lead. That's the sort of timing and the quick play that I want to see. That could get the Swans back into this if they've got enough time on the clock. I'm not sure they do, but if they have enough time on the clock to convert a few of these. Right here again, Brian, play fast, convert this. Did they have a lead? Now he's sitting there standing, but it was just enough space. He converted. I'd like to see him move quickly again. He's not in range here yet. I'd like to see him play quickly here.
Well, he's taking his time. He thinks he's in range, and we'll have to see when he comes back. I'm with you, Sarge. You have to play, I think, with a little bit more urgency here. But he winds up. He gets underneath of it. A lot of hands there. Bounces out the back. DC has it, but he fumbled it. Picked up. Big tackle thrown on there. Not getting any chance to move forward with the ball was C. Stewart. And the ball goes up on the far side now where it's dropped in front. And it is marked by DC. In fact, it may have gone out of bounds first. And, yep.
Yeah, signal for a free kick.
But free kick for the Swans. But again, they got to move quickly here. They do. High up in the air. This is going to bring, good punch from the back. Coming through like a house on fire was Matthew. And he did very well to spoil the party. But now here's Zovac, who was in there. He was stripped and dispossessed. Getting taken down over the back once again was Bobby Villette for DC. Now sending this one forward. The Eagles in control of this game, even though Chicago is showing some life. Here is Hansen. He was taken down. He dropped the pill. He's gone. Nathan Blumenshine, which is a good thing to do first thing in the morning. He gets the free kick.
You're going back for some reason. I can't tell if this is going to be a throw or a ball up here. So yeah, it's a boundary throw. Okay, so ball was out of bounds before that went up.
But it was still a good tackle by Blumenshine.
Yeah.
It just doesn't count. It's like when you see those goals, like in the World Cup, you see these fantastic goals, but then you look over. You can never, that's the problem, you can never get excited in soccer because you'll get really excited and then they show the guy with the flag up.
Offsides by a fingernail.
Yes, it's as much as I like soccer, it's one of those things. As the ball very slowly rolls out of bounds. And we will have, I think they were appealing for out of bounds. They were saying it was in, and this happened right before the DC match. Finally,
out of bounds would be the right call. Chicago cleverly played on, recognizing there wasn't a boundary umpire close enough in range to make that call properly.
Yeah, and understand
but we are coming back. That's the right thing.
I understand as well for these games, it's the other teams who are supposed to be supplying the boundary umpires for this. So
it takes a village, doesn't it?
It does take a village. I'll tell you, it is a lot of running. You and I have both done these boundaries, and it does take a lot, and that's why you usually have 4 people doing these.
Great shoulder-to-shoulder tackle there from, was that Shotwell? Yep, it was, 16.
Shotty too hotty. D-Shot, as he is known, a national teamer, had a great tournament in Toronto a couple of years ago. High in the air, and the only one to go up for that was Webster.
cleverly went to his defensive side. He recognized he didn't have competition in the air. And therefore Chicago probably wouldn't be set up properly. So he went defensively and easily collected on the backside of the pack.
One of the biggest skills of a ruck, I've noticed, is, it's one thing, if you it's great to get to the ball first. You have to win the ball to advantage. So it's the awareness of knowing where your players are. And like you said, great awareness by Webster to realize, it was essentially an uncontested ruck. He knew where the ball had to be.
Ruck craft, I tell you, the dichotomy of the mauling fight that occurs on the ground and then the finesse to tap it one direction or the other in the air is quite the mix of skills.
Everybody stopped because they thought that was us, and it's Hamish Gent who sends that one in, and it's marked in front. So here is Shotwell. He's at a very acute angle, but he is deft with his kicking here.
He's absolutely skilled enough to make this shot. He's got the distance, but he doesn't fancy himself. He kind of put it in nice and low. Second point for the Swans, and now 4 goals separate the sides. Watch AFL scoreboard. Chicago 2 behinds, DC 4-2-26. About 90 seconds to go. So the good news for Chicago, they're not going to get shut out. They are going to face a very difficult New York team, as Shotwell took that one off. The mark wasn't paid, but they get it out to Matthew, who will clear out. And both of these teams are going to have to play New York. The only difference is Chicago's going to have to do it straight away, and Chicago's going to have about a 4-hour breather here as the ball comes out to the near side. Going to get picked up, turning around, sending this one on the way. It is going to be marked in front, or was a whistle blown in front, as Kadri Williams is not happy. It was off the foot of Jed Martin. And after all of that, it is in fact going to be a ball up.
42.
So,
not exactly sure how he arrived at this particular solution.
Didn't see a clear signal there, and this is one of those instances where I was watching the play, as off the side of the foot. That's Stu Rackham. Hey, he's been around a long time Dallas Magpie / Dingo / North Texas Devil, and he's been around a long time. Here's a shot for goal by the Swans. That is us, but it was touched on the line, and so they will leave this game without a goal, will the Swans. But the DC Eagles, much the best in this first game, controlling it from beginning to end. The Swans did well, but the final score on the Watch AFL scoreboard, the DC Eagles 4-2-26, the Chicago Swans 3 behinds. And SARS, listen, Chicago played well, but DC just fully in control. They were able to link plays up, like you said, and they were able to prevent Chicago really for most of the game from making their completions count.
Yeah, Chicago was good in the air at times, I thought, but didn't use it well enough to their advantage. I think they really stuck to that slower, more methodical game style. I would love to have seen them run through with hands a little bit faster. That would have put DC back on their heels a little bit more. DC, very effective rebounding, and in the end just had enough pressure and enough forward 50 entries to convert enough goals. I wouldn't say massively convincing. They'd want to regroup plenty, certainly, before meeting New York. What I'd want to see out of both sides for the rest of the day, if I was coaching either of them, I would say we have got to change. The change of pace is going to be critical. We have got to change how fast we play. That was a very kind of tempoed game where no one really, I saw, dig in and do some hard sprints to either get to contests, to either break out of contests, to link up handballs. Those are the sorts of things that really break lines. And so this game felt a bit pedestrian. Not that the players weren't working hard. They were working extremely hard. But a bit pedestrian in kind of the back and forth, aerial game, intercept marks. No one really broke free from the line. So coaching either of these sides through the rest of the day, I would love to see these two really focus on that change of pace and momentum.
I agree. And it'll be interesting to see how they go with how they go against the Magpies. The Magpies are a very, very good team. And listen, that victory, the percentage may come down to it, because depending on if New York wins, the first tiebreaker is going to be percentage. So that victory will come into play. We did get a report from on the other game on the other field in Division II. St. Louis defeated Wisconsin 21-19. So the Blues will play Minnesota in the last game of the day on Division 2 over on Field 2. But that means that the game, which will be here at I think it's going to end up being noon, as I scrabble through all my pictures to look at the schedule here. In fact.
The 12:30 game.
12:30 game.
That Freeze and the Wombats.
It will be the Freeze and the Wombats, and New York will play Chicago in the last game of the day at 3:15. But we're going to come back. We're going to have some women's football as the Minnesota Freeze, the two-time defending current national champions, take on the DC Eagles / Denver Bulldogs. That combination. And we'll have that when we return. Game time is about in 20 minutes. We'll be back in just a few when we return. You're watching the 2026 USAFL Super Regional Championships from Woodbury, Minnesota, presented by Tasmanian here on AussieRulesUSA.com.